Welcome back to another episode of Let's Go Hunt, now with nearly as many episodes as your mom's body count. Tonight, we have Mike Gonzalez, circus music, Dave Packard, who says it's too early for this 80-degree bullshit, Sam Alexander, favorite thermostat repairman of rich people everywhere, and being yelled at by a fish cop to stop resisting even though I didn't do nothing, I'm Vince H. Tonight,
Taser.
changes to the Colorado draw system
I'm going to
and
prison.
other nonsense.
Mostly
And
not.
Prison Mike.
Ooh, Prison Mike.
We haven't met Prison Mike yet. Wait,
No,
we don't
haven't. We
have
have a cool mic, a good mic, and our mic. Now we just need a prison mic, which hey, maybe one of those people can double.
Wait, why isn't our mic good mic?
Because you're our
You-
mic. You can't be good mic. You're our mic.
But ¿por qué no los dos?
Your other half is Prison
Mm.
Mike, judging by the chat last night where you said we could pee on you.
Whoa.
That is
oh.
not what I said.
All right. So think about your
He
Vince
totally
did.
said that.
Take it
No, he
back
totally
several
said that.
Yeah, he
That
did.
is,
He did.
that is
The roundabout
incorrect.
way.
Donde está el baño? And you're like, está aquí. And we're like, what?
Yeah, we got the screenshots, man. You can't
That doesn't mean
back
pee
out of
on
that
me.
one.
That means that's the
Gross.
extent of my Spanish.
Well, your attempts at Spanish should probably stop.
Listen,
Or
it
you
was
say
You
something
can
else.
whip
I
out
was quite consternation in the
frijole.
chat.
Whoa, don't say whip out around him. He gets excited.
Heavy breathing.
That's my
Like,
bad.
donde está whip out? And Mike's like, está aquí.
¿Cómo se dice mushroom stamp?
That's okay. His second
En
language. is
español, señor.
Fuck.
See, this is what the public school system does to you. It gives you just enough Spanish to be a problem.
I
Oh,
promise
it's-
we have a show about hunting for you.
What?
No, we don't. I don't know.
I was waiting for
I don't
that
even know
joke
what
to
you're
land,
saying.
and it didn't
There is
fly
no
in the first place.
I thought Dave had something to say, but he coughed instead.
Was
Oh,
that
I
joke
was,
being
I
flown
was
by
gonna
a female
say-
Blackhawk pilot?
I learned nothing from high school Spanish. It's all Duolingo.
Nice.
My high school Spanish teacher called me out for using Google Translate. I did it anyway. After that, like, I don't care.
My high school Spanish teacher was actually my mother, and most of what I learned, I actually learned from a cassette tape I found with the pronunciation and translation of numerous curse words that someone had given her as a joke.
Ah, I was pissed because I was learning German in middle school, and then they changed all the programs up to where the only available foreign language. This was online school. The only available foreign language was Spanish. And I was like, I don't want to learn
That
Spanish.
explains so much.
I took French in high school.
They wouldn't let me take Russian. Sure as hell not learning French.
Well, it was either that or Spanish, and I chose French.
Okay, given the choice, I would probably pick French too.
Yeah, no, Spanish all the way. I have to tell people that the road's fucking closed and go park over there.
What if you're French? What happens when you meet French people?
What?
I'm sorry. I'd just love to hear Dave like staring at this obviously Mexican dude just saying in French, like, go over there, stupid. Like,
La calle está cerrado. I'm not good at Spanish.
I'm terrible at Spanish.
I can't say half of what you need to in French, so I'm obviously fluent in it.
Parlez-vous français?
I don't know. French people
Uncle.
just, man, they get angry if you don't speak their language right. They just rather speak in English, I think.
Just give them butter and roll on.
Here's a garlic. Here's a baguette. Please lead me to the bathroom.
Fine. Have a nap. Then fire the missiles.
here's a baguette and a guillotine.
That's what they cut bread with over there. Fuck, no wonder they get the slices so thin.
Oh.
Just
We've been
tiny.
doing it wrong.
Oh
They were
no,
like, this works for bread. Why not people?
it reminds me of that one little contraption from Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Oh no.
Just snip the tip.
That Mel
You know,
Brooks uses to
Mhm.
give adult circumcisions.
You know, the
Sing.
best kind of rabbis are the ones that do it for free. Just work for the tips.
Hey.
Great, we're getting.
Well,
fucking
now it's
canceled
time
now.
to move on.
Speaks French. Dick jokes.
Somehow, dad dick jokes. I mean,
Oh goodness me! Hang on, tuberculosis is hitting.
I'm
I'm
not
dying.
fast enough.
That's
you
the
think
dry
they
climate. It's good
you
for
think
my
that
health.
with the consumption, he wouldn't be that big.
You're right.
It's
like
just the head. All the weight is up here. It's all in
It
the noggin.
consumes you.
Yeah, it's consuming my brain. All right. So we didn't get to touch on it last week, and I wanted to touch on it at least briefly today. But Colorado is proposing. Somebody, wait, did I do the most research on this?
Yes.
Oh, great.
I did some too.
I believe it's a proposal currently, right, Dave? It's not like set in stone, but they're definitely like, we want to do this.
I think they actually passed it. This is
I
the
think
new
it
draw
is.
system.
So
The
I'm
new
late
draw
to the
system
party.
is now a thing, I believe.
Effective 2028.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a long
They're
ways
gonna
away.
slowly work a bunch of shit in, but I would imagine.
Well, essentially, it's going to a split lottery system here in Colorado, where, per my understanding, okay, so technically we have what's called a hybrid draw, which still is Greek to me. I don't know what's hybrid about it. It doesn't seem terribly hybrid. You have preference points or you don't.
Some of it is run on preference points, and the other part of it is run on the windmills in eastern Colorado. It's renewable.
Explain
Okay.
yourself.
Anyway,
No,
we have the
before the
main
court,
draw, and then
explain
we have the
yourself.
secondary draw, and then we have the leftovers.
So are we
maybe
getting rid of my precious leftover tags?
I didn't
Because I couldn't
research.
find the info on that part. Anyway.
No, it'll go to everything that's left over will go to leftovers.
Oh, good. I like
Per my
leftovers.
understanding.
I eat them for breakfast most of the time. Anyway, per new split lottery system, 50% of licenses go to the traditional preference point and draw. So highest points, you win, normal stuff. And then they're taking the other 50% of licenses and putting them in a weighted lottery where everybody has a chance. But it's like those giveaways I hate, which we've run a couple of them, unfortunately, because it's just the way everything's done now, where you enter your email and you get one entry. Like, oh, do you want another entry? Sign up over here, and another entry, and another entry. And before you know it, you've got like 50 entries, which I think you're supposed to feel happy about, but then you remember every other person has 50 entries. So in the aggregate, it's actually one entry, except for in this case, you've got you're a person. So here's your one entry, and your preference points are going to improve your odds.
This sounds like the Hunger Games.
I just thought of
the
like
Hunter Games.
The worst dystopian future possible is that Gleam is where you go to
oh no,
put in for your tags.
Gleam and sweeps widget. Oh, fantastic.
Sign up for follow our Instagram for 30 preference points.
You're entering the draw with 400 preference points, but it turns out everyone else has 400 preference points too.
You're going against like fucking 37 million.
You know what's sad? I feel like this is more likely than like the Hearing Protection Act getting passed.
So this is inflation. Your preference points get inflated every year.
Back in
It's
the
like
day, it was just 2 points to
Way
draw
back
that.
in my day, we could draw that tag with 2 points. Now it's 200.
used to, you go down to the local gas station and buy you a tag and then come back with the deer and show the fella.
We only got 1 point a year.
These the future is in crypto preference points.
Oh God, don't even. Oh,
We don't use fiat preference points around here anymore. Those are going down. It's all about the crypto points.
Deer coin.
The Protherium.
Oh, dear coin. So that that freaking meme that was going around a couple months ago, that Hawk Tua girl or whatever.
dude,
She did
Oh,
it-
yeah,
she
her
did her
Hawk
own little
Tua
meme coin, and now it's disappeared off the face of the earth.
Of course.
This is the
Yes.
new strategy for Let's Go Hunt. We're gonna have deer coin. We're gonna pump it up and then dump it and just disappear.
Pump and dump. Poof. I like it. Let's do it.
Uh,
to
But
sell
let's talk
deer
about
coin,
it in
you
more
have to click
detail, not
the-
on air.
To sell deer coin, you have to click the butt out button. We will have a button. Speaking of
Follow our
preference
Instagram
points,
for 400
it's got
Bitcoin.
so instead of staples like easy button, it's just it says butt out on it. It's that last little tap you get to really seat that butt out in there before you twist it.
Breaded Lund says all 15 of us would invest. Like, yeah, we're gonna make out with 750.
About
That's not
$3.50.
That's not
We're gonna have the Loch
750.
Ness
That's
Monster investing
$7.
for us.
$7.50 split four
Canadian.
ways.
750.
speaking
All right.
of preference points, those are
We-
also changing.
Dusky
So
said
hang on.
Hunt coin. I suggest
Oh,
Mike
that's better.
Hunt coin.
What?
Mike's Hunt coin.
Mike.
There was a dude.
Mike,
Okay, there was
Mike
a guy.
Hunt coin.
When I was probably 16, working for Home Depot's Home Depot contracts out there flooring to a different company. The manager, their name was Phil, and so
Was
I
his
don't
last
remember
name
exactly.
McCracken?
No.
McCracken.
This is way off in the middle of nowhere. Anyway,
He worked in the plumbing department.
he would give. Anyway, we printed out these sheets of paper. They said Phil Bucks on them, and then below it said they were. Then you shortened it to Fucks. Phil Bucks. PHUKS. And so we gave them to him so he'd give them out to people who did a good job. Here, have some fucks.
I have fucks to give.
Yep.
Nice.
He was only mildly amused by that for some reason.
Like,
And he had no
that's
sense of
funny.
humor. He worked at fucking Home Depot.
He didn't work at Home Depot. He worked for the company that contracted from Home Depot. So if you go to Home Depot and you say, I want to have carpet installed, they sell you the carpet and all that shit, and then they contract the installation out to a company called Home Solutions, which used to be cool to work for, and now they're not cool to work for. Anyway,
Well, at least he didn't get fired from Home Depot.
That's fair. Or the
They're-
sheriff's
They're
department.
they're fuckers over there now.
all right, Dave, preference point changes, go.
So there's no more weighted points.
Describe
just
explain
preference
weighted points again.
Okay. So a preference point is what you get if you do not draw your first choice in the primary draw.
Mhm.
You get what's called a preference point. With moose, bighorn sheep, and goat, mountain goat, you get after your first 3 preference points, then they change to weighted points. And they're kind of the same, but it's kind of different. I mean, it makes no shit now, but no more weighted points. Everything's just preference points. So we'll see how that goes.
I still don't
the other
understand what
change
the
to-
weighted point did.
They're just heavier.
They're
Then why
a
not have
pound of
more preference
lead
point?
point.
Instead of weighted point? Why not more points?
Extra point because they don't want to they don't want to inflate the points, man. That's inflation.
Weighted
can't
points,
just-
bonus
you can't-
points. Points are points.
You can't just print out more points.
I had a whole
We have point inflation.
deal written up, or not.
Is
written
this
up, I
like-
found about it? I
This
cannot
is like
remember.
here we have Philbuck, but we also have Super Philbuck.
Exactly. Also, on the allocation of points, 75% of licenses in Colorado per 2028 will be reserved for residents. 25% will go to non-residents. This replaces the old system where high demand versus low demand hunts had different allocations. So now it's one allocation across the board. Y'all get what you get and be happy with it.
I actually think that's fair.
There are some units where it was heavier resident than non-resident. Like it was 80-20.
Yeah.
So
Hey, you give them enough time in this state, they'll be waiting them 10% resident, 90% non-resident, just because they'll need the money.
they're really counting on them wolves.
I mean, Idaho will pay you to catch them. That's what I want. But
I really do want to live in a world where I can get paid to like go kill animals. Like the government.
You can sell the furs. Supposedly, Colorado years ago had a bounty out on beaver because when I talked to the forest manager up where I've been trapping and hunting beaver, he talked about, I forget how many years ago he said, but some dude had showed up from Midwest somewhere and trapped like 60 of the things and showed up at his office wondering where to collect the bounty. And the dude just like, I don't, what? So, Brett Lund wants to know, is there an idiot hunting season in Colorado? That you just go to Denver, it's a free-for-all. It's the combat zone if you go to Aurora.
I said they're
The
a non-game
requirement-
protected invasive species.
Oh man.
The requirement is to not have a license, but own a Mustang.
I can't type tonight.
Specifically a Mustang? A
So,
Charger
yeah,
won't
that's
do it?
the most.
You're not a you're
No.
not a Mustang owner if you haven't burned out into pedestrians.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hey,
Lead
they shouldn't
the
have been
car
standing
meet.
there. Also, you can't apply in Colorado. But moving forward, you won't be able to apply to just get a preference point. It looks like you have to do you have to have a first choice. So no more
Boo.
putting in all nines or whatever it was just for the preference point.
That's nonsense. Okay.
I
that's
thought you
that's
could buy.
just nonsense.
I thought you could buy a point, but the price went up.
Okay, maybe you're right then. Yes, no, that's correct. My bad.
Yeah, I cannot
My
remember.
notes,
what
my
price
notes
was,
condensed
but-
in too far down. It did well. The price wasn't outrageous. I remember that. Oh, that might be just because to get my people out of the
Okay.
system and streamline it. Because currently the whole just buy a point system is kind of tacked on the rear end. Just put in all nines for your hunt code. Like, okay,
I mean, okay, so it makes sense. Like, yeah, I'm building preference points, but I can't hunt this year, so I'm just gonna put in for a preference point.
yeah, Dave's
No
right
big deal.
though. My notes were too far condensed. I had that part. excised.
Literally just did that for turkey today. Just put in for a preference point because all
Nope,
of
I
the
missed the
good
deadline.
draw areas in Colorado cost
It's okay,
like
I'll walk
8
with you.
points. Now the cool thing is you can get 2 points a year, fall and spring.
The cool part is I can tell you where to find some turkeys, and all we need is a car.
That is the one caveat. Is everything else is 1 point a year, regardless, bar none, except turkeys. So
If they start putting preference points for beaver, I'm gonna be sad.
Beavers always had preference points.
dude, in 5 years, a deer tag's going to cost like $200.
Dude.
I hate you. Actually, no, I hate this state.
Yeah. I hate what it's become.
Mine are all free because 2012 me paid for them.
Love my state.
No,
Hate
go
the
ahead.
people in it.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that kind of sums up at least the bigger changes on it. Supposedly, it's to balance, more season preference point holders and newer hunters. I kind of appreciate that a little bit because you don't look at, I want to go hunt elk, and you're pretty much canned unless you've been saving up points for 5 years if you want to rifle hunt. So I do kind of appreciate that it kind of balances that out a bit. time will tell. I know people who've probably got 15 points are going to hate it because that it constricts it. Basically, it's going to turn the this is the way I kind of foresee it, at least. The preference point half of the draw is now going to be more competitive because you're going to be kind of barreling now instead of dealing with, I don't know if I'm making sense when I say this. Instead of dealing with the whole playing field where everyone's got 15 points and now half everybody's below it, now you're condensed down to where I think the points are going to be less impactful. That doesn't make any sense. I'm going to shut up now.
I mean, it goes both ways. So, my buddy who has 27 sheep points hasn't drawn. He's been putting in for 27 consecutive years.
Mm-hmm.
And he has 21 or 23 moose points. And when he put in for moose last year, a guy with 3 weighted and 3 preference and 1 weighted point drew that tag, where he had 3 weighted or 3 preference and 19 or 18 weighted points.
Yeah, it's like step 1, apply. Step 2, magic. Step 3, draw. Like,
there was it's a whole thing. Like they assigned you a random number. That's your application number, which is totally different than like all your other numbers. But you get this number, then you turn it around, they inverse it, and then however many weighted points you have is what it's divided by, and whoever has the lower number gets the point, and it just works its way up from there. So if your initial applicant number ends in a 9, when they flip it, it now starts with a 9, versus if it ended with a 1 and you flipped it, you'd have 800,000 applicants lower.
This seems like a con. This seems like this seems like a guy trying to talk you out of $50 at the drive-through. Like,
and it's never the same number every year.
It's like a Vegas game. The house always wins.
Basically,
I don't know. We'll see.
No, we'll see how it all pans out. I mean,
as long as it don't fucking my account next year.
Well, you mentioned that you'd have so many applicants, and then it just like assigns a random number or whatever. It assigns. Take antelope hunting in your area. Like 2 years ago, we all applied down there. Like there was 8 of us that applied. There were, if I remember right, 120 applicants and 60 tags issued, and 8 of us, like the odds were that 1 or 2 of us should have at least drawn one. None of us did. None of us were in that.
Or do you get your secondary?
I got the private land one because the public land, they all got
No, you were
out.
the only one with last year or the first year you came down?
Not the first year, the year after.
Yeah.
And then this year, none of us, I mean, obviously nothing happened this year.
Yeah, don't put in this year. There's no fucking antelope anywhere.
That's what we do. We buy a trailer and we go steal antelope from somewhere else.
We rent a helicopter and a net gun.
Coop got some antelope.
Yeah. Up there, Coop did. When we had that big ass snow, it pushed all the antelope out. Like, I have seen 1 herd of antelope since the beginning of November. And where Coop was hunting, which is north of me, 30, 40 miles, their antelope population like doubled over fucking night. So everything got pushed up that way to actual greener pastures.
It's almost like you live in a dust bowl.
It was a snow bowl then.
Well, same old, same old. All right, so I think that covers that pretty much.
Yeah.
We'll see how it turns out.
We've got a few
I mean, I
years.
am slightly excited for the fact that it's like, well, at least on the bonus draw side, that gives me a shot compared to,
It sounds like
even and saving it. Of course, by the time we get there, I'll have enough points that I'll dump my points off, and then I'll just be starting from scratch again. But
I could be wrong, but it sounds to me like they're gonna have the one draw with the 50% and then the bonus draw. Like they're replacing this hybrid first draw and secondary draw with. But I could be reading it wrong.
oh no, there's still secondary draw. I'm
This just
curious.
seems unnecessarily complex.
Welcome to hunting in Colorado.
Well, welcome to Helm Hunting in Western states. They've all got
No,
some
thank
kind of
you.
lottery system.
Yeah, but not all of them are as complicated as Colorado's is. Now, I get that it's got to be.
We don't have the animals.
It's easy for us to criticize when we have no fucking solutions. Like, we can't say, look, here's this new solution.
I have a solution.
Don't do this.
Kick parks back off and make it Division of Wildlife again, to where we're not trying to carry the weight of all the state parks through hunting. That's what fucked us.
It's because people aren't going to state parks.
They can sustain themselves. So that's why they merged everything.
You say no one's going to state parks, but then you can't go to a state park here half the time without making a reservation.
Yeah.
That's an
That's
interesting
Rocky Mountain.
conundrum,
That's
isn't
Rocky
it?
Mountain National Park. But like even still, you can't go up like freaking I'm not going to call it the new name. You can't go up Mount Evans without a freaking
Mount Evans.
Brett,
is that the
don't
right
tempt
name?
me. No, it's Mount Blue Sky now.
No,
It's
it's
Mount
not.
Evans.
Mount Evans. Okay, sorry. I said it and then I questioned myself for some reason.
Blue Sky is also the name of the pedophilia Twitter replacement. Although,
You think that's an accident?
I don't.
Anyway,
It's
you can't go
Mount
up Mount Evans now without a reservation. You can't go up Pikes Peak now without a reservation. You can't freaking go anywhere around here now without a damn reservation. But then, we don't have enough traffic in our parks. Like, well, do you have so much traffic that you have to make reservations, or do you not? I don't get it.
Goth, do you have our reservation for Pikes Peak this afternoon?
Ding, ding, ding. Up to Pikes Peak, Goth.
Yeah, they told me I shouldn't take my 3-month-old up there. I was like, maybe.
I
That's
have
a
never
fair
been on the
point.
top of Pikes Peak.
I have been many times now. I have hiked up more than I have driven. Actually, no. Are we even now with driving up there and hiking up there? Maybe close. But
Sam
Driving's
flexing
a lot-
on his summits.
driving's a lot faster.
I would imagine, yeah.
Really?
It is a little
Driving
more
faster
nerve-wracking,
than-
though,
Driving
because the
faster
giant
than walking.
fucking
Noted.
cliffs that you don't want to drive off of.
Yeah.
It feels safe. Well, that's not true. If you don't get to the summit fast enough, you get up to Timberline right around to the time that the afternoon thunderstorm rolls through, and then you're above Timberline with lightning. That's that'll get you walking faster.
Ooh.
Like suddenly I'm a lot more energized to get up this mountain.
Yes, I need to be taller.
Right? Going up there? Nope. Going back down.
Why are the rocks buzzing? Don't worry about it. Just keep walking.
And I'm out.
Boy. All right.
Yeah, we haven't done it either, and it's been on our list. Probably do it this summer.
What, drive up there?
Yeah,
It's fine.
I'm not gonna
freaking
walk
put it in first gear on the way down.
dude. I know. I'm
Hike's
not
great. I need to go up. I need to hike it again one of these days. But
Unlike most people, I actually can drive an automatic transmission properly.
The only way I'm hiking Pikes Peak is with a sheep
What
tag
does
in
that
my
even
pocket.
mean?
It means you use all the gears and don't ride your brakes down a hill.
isn't that what the brakes are for? Slowing down? All right,
Moving on. The vein is.
Hey, do y'all want to see something?
Of course.
Desktop.
Yeah.
Oh,
You put the biggest red dot you could on there, huh? Biggest pistol dot you could find.
that's fucking pimp.
So for those listening, he's holding up. Well, tell me what you're holding up because I'll butcher it.
This is a Ruger Mark IV Light in 22 long rifle that I picked up recently because I'm getting a 22 caliber suppressor, like a 22 rimfire suppressor. That's what I'm getting. So it's going to be like 5 inches long. It's going to be just like that much longer. It's not good. It's still going to be pretty compact, but I picked up from Brown L's. They had this on what?
How long again?
Like this long.
Oh, that's
Decent.
long.
This is 6 inches, right?
Yeah.
I thought this was
That's
6 inches.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
That's what she told me anyway.
yeah, that.
Brownells had these on sale, which I'm guessing is because this is like last year's 2245 Mark IV light model, and they're going to have new ones coming out after SHOT Show that are going to be all like pimp and stuff, but whatever. I kind of don't care. And I had a mediator sitting. Mediator? Yeah, I had a mediator sitting on this because I was messing with it. And then just randomly, a Gideon Optics Granite showed up at my front door, and I really have no clue why.
This why?
Because Bob is a pimp.
Because I don't know, Bob's got a weird fixation. And then I decided to put it on here and see how it felt, and my goodness, it looks nice. Like it.
Let's be clear. It's not that Bob has a weird fixation. He's just got a fixation on the weird. We're the weird. He just likes our weird.
Is that
Maybe.
is that aluminum or stainless?
Yeah.
It's an aluminum upper
Cast iron.
receiver and a polymer lower, and the 2245 is based off of the idea that okay, this is a 22 caliber pistol, but all of the controls mimic the 1911, so it mimics the 45 caliber 1911.
So it's a Glock 44 before the 44 was cool.
Yeah, except these still have 10 round magazines, which is the main thing that I don't like about
Glock
them is they're still
44.
running 10 round magazines. Like I have a Taurus that has 17 round magazines. Like, dude, you can make these higher capacity if you wanted to. But anyway, I'm gonna be messing with this a little bit. I want to go squirrel hunting with this.
Oh, mother,
That
father.
Be fucking cool. Yes. Yes,
Which
please.
should be perfectly reasonable to do. Me and a buddy, him and his family came over and we went out and shot this. And I actually had the mediator on it, and I didn't notice that I hadn't tightened it down all the way, but we were just kind of mag dumping into trash, so it didn't matter.
His optic seems a little wobbly.
Like, yeah, those groups aren't great, and like, oh, that's moving around. That
Could be
explains
why.
all that.
It's free float.
But yeah, I'm gonna
free float optic.
You see, if you don't have any recoil lugs, it just slides up and down the rail with the recoil, which it prevents the optic from absorbing all that kinetic energy from the recoil. It just goes.
You say all this, but I've been in this boat before where I was like messing with a rifle. I changed stocks around and I just put the scope back on it to see how it looked, and then I went out to like shoot it and sight stuff in. I'm like, why is this not working?
Oh God.
And it's because I only like finger tight the
I on my I actually wore the damn mount out somehow, but on my aim point little T1 guy, it had a quick detach mount. Actually, that's how I wore it out. I kept taking it off. I put it on an AR upper and did not realize that the very just like a 16th of an inch of the front of the mount was overlapping on the rail. And so the handguard rail that was wiggling around just a little bit. And so I kept having point of impact shifts by about an inch, 2 inches, an inch, up, down. What the hell is going on? And then I finally figured it out.
yeah, like
It was just wiggling a little bit.
Like, why is this all over the place? Yeah, but
Are you
anyway,
going to shoot squirrels with that?
I plan on it. So
Fucking
to
A.
even the odds, I think I'm gonna take my son out with the old bolt action from the 1940s that
crazy.
my dad gave him, and I'm gonna take the pistol with the suppressor and the red dot, and we're gonna see who can do better.
Excellent.
That's
I
a
like
great
that.
idea.
Cool.
Like pew pew. But yeah, the granite is actually I actually like the granite on this better than the mediator. I think the mediator is going to go back on the rifle. Yeah,
He's so big. It's got freaking tube TV on top.
It honestly,
big,
it's
but it
cool
works.
as fuck, man. It looks
I mean,
really
Yeah.
cool.
it doesn't look bad, and it's not super wide or anything. It doesn't feel like it's excessively large. It's just there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the 8 MOA dot isn't excessively big either, even though it does look like. So I have an astigmatism, so it looks weird. But anyway,
You got a holster recommendation from the chat. The Coltac Varmint Wrangler holster. You won't regret it.
I am aware of it, and it is on the list of things, and I am out of my budget for this month already. So that's maybe a March thing. Maybe. But I'm aware of the Coltac holster. It's actually designed for basically this specific pistol with a suppressor on it with a red dot on it. So it's like it's the thing for it. And it's
like
a chest
sock.
it's a chest holster too. So you can strap it on there and carry it around. And I'd carry that around while deer hunting to just shoot stupid squirrels that won't leave me alone.
In season, of course.
You should take your youngest squirrel hunting while you use that, but you have to carry an appendix.
So I'd just be waddling through the woods, just like
It's fucking hot. Oh my god.
like Dad, what smells like bacon?
Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
Rough.
my youngest is 2, so maybe not.
Yeah. I bet you win.
You say that, he's vicious.
Well, that's neat. All right.
That's my toy for the night.
So speaking of suppressors, when do you get yours?
I certified like a week and a half ago, and I haven't gotten anything back yet, which talking to the guys at the shop, they're like, yeah, man, this is you should get something in a couple of days, which I usually get sent to research or get delayed for some reason, and I don't know why. So I'm not surprised that it's taking a little bit longer. Oh, that is another thing. I wanted to talk about this. Okay, so when I went and picked up this pistol, I went to my FFL and I filled out the 4473, and he's like, hey, do you have a CCW? I'm like, yeah, I have a CCW. Why? He's like, can I see it? I'm like, sure. And then I started to, the wheel started to turn a little bit, and I started to remember that Oklahoma had made some changes to their concealed carry license act back a couple years ago, trying to bring it in line with the ATF's policy where they will allow your concealed carry permit to act as your background check. And apparently at the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, sometime around there, Oklahoma got approved by the ATF for your concealed carry permit to act as your background check if it's was approved, I think, on or after some date in 2021, or and it's the 5 years or less. So Oklahoma, you can do 10 years on your concealed carry permit, but after 5 years, you can't use it as a background check. But in preparation for this, I got my concealed carry permit for the 5 years whenever I renewed it. So he's like, "Oh yeah, I don't have to do a background check. You have your concealed carry permit, and it's in the proper range." And I'm like, "Yes," because I didn't know, because I went and filled out a background check and did a background check back in November, I think, for a rifle, and the shop was like, the shop had to do a background check on it, and I guess they didn't know, because this was a different FFL. When I went in there, he's like, I didn't know until I was messing around on the ATF's website, and you could see like the list of states where your CCW permit can act as a background check. So add Oklahoma to that list, where if you have a concealed carry permit issued on or after some date in 2021 and is 5 years old or less, that you still have to fill out a 4473 for your, transfer, but they do not have to submit a background check to the ATF. Your concealed carry permit acts as that. So rather than getting delayed or going to researching and having to sit there for 45 minutes or whatever, I just got to walk out with my pistol after filling out the 4473.
God, Colorado sucks. They can. They could choose to. They choose not to.
But they won't. Yeah, it was like 25 states, I think, that had that worked out. And I from what I understand, the main problem that they had was that Oklahoma used to do, so the Oklahoma Bureau of Investigations used to do all of their own background checks. But in order to get their CCWs approved, they had to use the NICS system to do the background checks for the concealed carry permits. And they just made some changes to the law to where they started doing that and made a number of other really and truly minute changes to the point where, yeah, now we have that too. And I'm super excited. Oklahoma should have been on that way sooner, but here we are, and it's a little bit better now.
That is nice.
That
It's
is-
nice to see
that's-
you guys getting some wins.
Yeah, that's awesome. Getting some wins. Oklahoma's been winning.
Yeah, like Oklahoma gets wins, other states get L's. Like, it's nice to see a state get a win. I'm not saying they've gotten L's. I'm just saying it's nice to see get wins.
I'm
Yes, I
not
may
sure
have said it in a
Oklahoma is
manner
the best state
implied.
for the Second Amendment, but man, it's close.
You guys were one of the first for constitutional carry, weren't you?
No, actually, constitutional carry did not come around until 2016, and it was actually by a voter referendum. And it's still kind of weird and watered down. It's not truly constitutional carry; it's basically permitless carry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Which
best
is
state,
most constitutional carry is permitless carry. if
true.
not
There's
all of them.
there's a couple that are close. Like I think New Hampshire is truly permitless carry. And the other one is Alaska, which they're like, hey, dude, go put a gun in your truck. Don't be a dipshit.
Mhm.
You're almost required to own one up there.
Nobody gets killed in Alaska. Weird.
Like, there's bears. Leave your car unlocked and put a gun in there in case somebody needs it.
They'll put it back.
The entire state of Alaska is the little village from the film Hot Fuzz. Nobody ever gets murdered here. It's just a series of accidents in Alaska. They got eaten by a bear. Oh, something fell on him.
My favorite thing about Alaska is
The plane never arrived.
the Alaska is one of the biggest states that the gun grabbers love to use. Like, Alaska's got such a high gun homicide per capita ratio, like gun deaths per 100,000 people, and it's like 7 or something like that, 7 per 100,000 people. And I'm like, okay, so you're bitching about the 7 people that got killed in Anchorage last year? Like, calm down. 700 people died in Chicago last year. You're worried about 7 people in Anchorage. Fuck off.
Anchorage is the Detroit of Alaska.
Look,
wouldn't-
just because a polar bear was carrying a gun while it mauled somebody to death does not make it a gun crime.
Yes, it does.
P hacking.
P hacking, fucking.
Now, Bretland says it like suicide is kind of a big problem in Alaska, but then we're going to get into like these stats on suicide with firearm and whether or not it impinges upon the actual.
It's just the rotation. It's just the tilt of the Earth's axis weeding out the weak. Next.
Actually, it has more to do with vitamin D, but whatever.
Yeah. What did I just say? Why is there a loss of vitamin D? Because the Earth's all fucking wobbly.
You need some vitamin don't. That's 988.
Good show title, Vitamin Don't.
That just
Sam and
reminds me
his tuberculosis are gonna fucking keel over up there. It's gonna be great. Nobody's gonna be up there to press end on the live stream. It's just gonna be his corpse rotting.
Just goes on and on and on.
Eventually, you'll see me reach up there and take his tanker, and then just leave. And then YouTube kicks us off at that point for handling firearms on.
Oh, Vince already closed that coffin.
Oh, in this show.
Yeah. Well, what did he just?
Oh, right. You're
last
right. You're
night?
right. You're right.
I'm gonna drive down Oklahoma and shoot him though.
Street lights,
All right.
people.
And
And
Now
it
they're all
goes
being-
on and on and
Go.
on and on and
these are
on.
the
And on.
consequences of me having all the power.
Goodness.
You're all back.
Um,
by the way.
So speaking of suppressors, I took a buddy up to the shooting range, Sam, and it was the first time
and
he
you
shot
didn't
a
invite
can.
me.
Well, to
What
be
a
fair,
fuck.
I didn't invite you for one reason. I haven't shot with him in 20 years, and I wasn't sure how that would go.
So you didn't want somebody there to make sure he didn't Chris Kyle you?
Is it
Maybe
like
this is-
us
this is
introducing
actually-
you to other
This is
people?
decreasing in logic as far as I'm concerned.
This is
Yeah.
hmm,
This is
you're
going way
right.
south for you, sir.
It was never going to
Continue.
go.
What
Never
is
gonna go
happening
north.
in the chat?
So it was his first time ever shooting a can. He let me shoot his LWRC. That thing was pretty sweet.
What is this guy got a freaking fun hedge fund child over here?
He
Owns
It's a-
LWRC, doesn't own a can. What the hell, sir?
dude, that's what I've been trying to convince him. Like, he needs a can. So we went up shooting, and after we were done, he was like, "Yeah, I need a can." He also was pretty intrigued by the Guardian, the Gideon Guardian on top of the 5.56. I brought the 30-06 Great Lakes firearms. Shot that suppressed, and he was like, "Oh, I bet it's super loud suppressed, 30-06." And I was like, "No." Fired the 06, and it goes, "Psh," and he's like, "What the fuck?" It's like,
That's
yeah,
a
dude.
24-inch barrel, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I had a 24-inch barreled 22 Predator, which is basically 22 Arc, which is basically the same as like 224 Valkyrie. And even without a suppressor, it was like stupid quiet. Like, this is an 88 grain bullet going 2,900 feet per second, and it's like, kapow! Like, you could, it's a rifle round. I mean, it's not hearing safe in any
Right.
conceivable way without a suppressor. And this was before I had suppressors, but it was still like, that was not uncomfortable, as uncomfortable as I thought it should be. Like definitely way better than like a 16-inch 5.56.
No, all guns are quiet if you shoot them
But
enough.
But a 24
I like
there's
it.
still a pressure wave. Oh my gosh. You know what? Okay, I didn't even mention this about like the last running gun, but there needs to be like a wall of shame. Like we need to give us a an award to the bastard with the worst sounding firearm who comes through. There was a guy who came through with a 16-inch 308 with a brake on it.
That thing makes at nighttime. That thing. I mean, first of all, it's loud as fuck. That thing makes a fireball at the front that temporarily night blinds your ass.
God damn.
Like you can shoot it if you want to. Like at nighttime, you shoot it and you gotta blink a second before you can see the fucking target again.
I was 20 feet away, and the pressure wave from that thing was like, oh my god. The guy who went after him had a 10-inch. He had like a Mark 18 something or the other with a brake on it, and I was like, that's gonna be worse. There's no way that's not worse. But the 308 with the brake on it was way worse than the 10-inch 5.56 with an A2 bird cage. Is like, no. Why would you do this? You're a jerk.
Why are you like this?
Why
How dare
are
you?
you the way that you are?
Well, you can tell he's that way because of how he is.
But you know what? I got to pick up a decent amount of 308 brass after he left. So
That's pretty cool. That's a win.
a win.
Joke's on you. Anyway, yeah, we had a lot of fun, and yeah, it was a good time. There's a nice spot back there, Sam, where there's a bunch of road eroding, and I was like, look,
I mean, how far back did you go?
um,
Because the road is not eroding that far. I mean, is it the section where the road's okay, and then you get to a point where it goes like slightly to the left and up a hill, and like just a big fucking
yeah,
yeah, I fucking hate that spot.
yeah, I drove the Prado up that spot in low, and I was like, just
You do fine.
crawled right up it. It was
my
awesome.
wide wheelbase. I mean, I go up it just fine, but I'm always worried about freaking hitting the nose on the way down.
Yeah, I went up that thing, and I was doing the whole smooth-headed guy like off-road,
Mm.
but it's all spelled wrong, like RODE.
Garth, drive that line. Drive my Prado up this gully.
Get stuck, Garth. Get it unstuck, you idiot.
Yeah, and then you go like about 2 or 3 spots in. There's the one at the opposite. When you get to the top of that hill's good. There's one that's down below after it that sucks. You'll get shot at that one, and then there's like one beyond that that's really good too.
We went to the one at the bottom of the off-road hill.
Oh, you're gonna get
like,
shot
with the carpet. Yeah, we heard a zinger go over us, and we were packing up, and I was
have freaking looked at that spot and been like, I'm not going there because I have seen other. Like,
good to know. Next time we'll avoid that spot. Also, somebody was coming
Oh,
in
you're
as
gonna
we were
invite me
leaving,
next
and
time?
he's like,
Am I allowed to come?
"Yeah,
next
no,
time, or should I stay
absolutely.
home?
Next time, of course."
He's
Hell,
gonna
you
be
and
like,
I'll probably go shooting by the time we
What
go
day?
shooting.
What day was this, by the way?
Monday.
Oh, okay, you're good on Mondays. The best days are like Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays.
that dude will whip out his LWRC, and then Sam will be like, "Oh yeah, dual tubes. Suck shit, you fuck ass."
Yep. Who's the poor now, bitch?
Kids, I hollered out Mr. Garrison has ever said, eat penguin shit, you ass spelunker.
Yeah.
Well, Brett wants to know in the chat has something about he had both. I don't know what that means. He needs a helmet and a gas mask. ACH, M40, good to go.
Oh no, dog farts. That's
Oh,
what that was.
gross.
Yeah.
Why the heck?
Dusky told him eyes and ears, and he said he
What's
had
wrong
both.
with these people?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't mention earlier.
there are listeners. What do you expect out of him?
I've already done gunsmith stuff with this.
Ooh, gunsmith.
These have
Smith.
I'm back on the 2245 Light Mark IV.
It's fine. It's cool.
It's these have a magazine disconnect, and there's actually a pretty simple way to delete that, and the trigger is way better after you delete it.
Can you explain what a magazine disconnect is?
It's gay.
A magazine disconnect
True.
is something that, as far as I know, is exclusive to handguns, where the handgun will not fire unless you have a magazine inserted. So even if you drop the mag and have a round in the chamber, you can't shoot it. And usually that's done by some mechanism that puts extra spring tension on the trigger, because that's the best way to do that, apparently. And so, yeah, I've already deleted the mag disconnect, and it's actually pretty simple. All you have to do is invert a spring. Basically, you have to take part of the end of a spring and put it on the other side of where it goes. But you can just Google that shit, and it'll
that's
pop up.
You made Bob happy because he has one.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna look that up right now.
If
Yeah,
you've seen Tiger King, that's how
Yes,
that dude
I was gonna
offed
bring that
himself.
up. It's a Ruger. Rugers don't go off without a magazine, and it doesn't have a mag in the bang.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
What?
Canoed his head
Yeah,
because he put it
put it
up
up-
to his head without the mag in it, squeezed trigger, and shit went off.
like
Man,
I'm
even
not
the
saying
one
that-
dude. The one dude
that's
was like, "You shouldn't be
100
messing with that," and the dude was like, "No, the mag's not in it. It can't go off without the mag in it. Look," and put the gun to his head, and
yeah,
And the
180
dude he
years
was talking
later,
to-
Darwin's still going to work.
right.
Like it
There
used
was-
to be,
was
we
pretty
weeded out the
methed
dumb
up.
ones because they got trampled by mammoths or they ate the wrong berries. And these days, they put Ruger Mark IVs to their head and play stupid games.
I do
No, I'm not-
appreciate our ancestors for discovering that blueberries are delicious, and that one killed Bob immediately.
Now, I'm not saying the trigger's exceptional, but it did go from like 6 pounds to 4.5, maybe. Yeah, it's not bad.
Getting Optics said, "Now this wasn't a complete waste of an evening."
Now that he has that information,
It's not hard to figure out. It's just, yeah, well,
Fiddly. It sounds fiddly.
We're go with this now.
if you're not generally mechanical with firearms, you might end up with a bag of gun that becomes a problem. But
no
I mean,
one likes bag of guns.
We've all done that.
I
Have you-
surprisingly not, because I have not tinkered with my guns very much.
Oh, my Schofield is totally inoperable right now because I was
Yeah.
thought the timing issues were due to the hand, and so I spent a lot of time working on the hand, and it turns out I think they're the locking bolt underneath.
You want to sell it?
Not really.
Oh, fine.
You don't want it.
I'd like to buy.
It's an
broken
Army
shit.
San Marco, which is like the bottom of barrel of
and
any
it's in
Western
40.
gun.
It's in
44.
4440.
Yeah, which is also
Yeah.
impossible to find ammo for anymore.
Also gross.
Hey, you used to be able to find 4440 just on the damn shelf before 2020, and that whole ammo panic in 2020 wiped 4440 out. Like I haven't seen that crap anywhere hardly.
Bob, you sent me an adapter plate for an RMR to Acro. Was that meant to go to one of the other guys?
We don't know.
Well, you see,
I'm
the
still
Scotch-
confused.
The scotch was strong that night.
I don't even know what an acro is.
It's an acronym.
Fuck you.
No.
Huh.
He says yes.
Throw it out in the sidebar. Ugh.
Love it.
We love you, Bob.
Oh,
All homo.
cool.
At least.
Bob's still paying.
So
Either way, I'll find a use for it. If one of the guys needs it, I'll send it to him. Whatever.
Vince, did you trim your beard?
No.
He's just been gnawing at it.
When I'm stressed, maybe, but not right now.
Oh, my
That's
wife
just the
about pukes
mustache.
when I do.
No, it's like you take this and you're like, you give a good smell to see where you've been.
Is that your Vince 95 mask?
These are things I don't miss about having a beard.
It's pretty effective.
I can't imagine you with a beard, and I am.
Me?
Yeah.
No, that's because you didn't know me in 2016, man. I grew that thing out for my brother's wedding and then shaved it when I got back home because fuck all of that maintenance. Fuck it.
Oh, Bob was just thinking ahead. So nice of Bob.
You know what? I think I did mention something. He said, I thought you mentioned putting it on a pistol. I think, though, the pistol has a doctor cut, which is just ridiculous and no one really
Doctor?
has.
Doctor.
Like, no
Can
one
we
really
just-
does anything with that.
Can we call a doctor cut just a surgeon? Just so it's one word now.
Doctor cut.
Yeah.
I think
Alright.
I did mention that.
So, with all that out of the way,
No, don't go die. No.
No,
Don't
stop it.
you people need a life. Should
Do-
we roll into our new little bitsy here with our
Indeed.
lovely soundbite? Which I will preface this. I need to work on this soundbite a little bit, give it a little old panache, but we've got the nugget or the seed. Now we just need to plant it. Y'all ready?
Get it.
I was ready before you started that.
Whoa. All right, hang on. Here we go.
That's good.
Which brings us to spotlighting with Dave.
What the
And-
hell?
We need a little jingle. It
And-
needs a little bit of a jingle. There's also about 2 seconds of dead space in the beginning that I got to edit out because it's really annoying to time it.
It needs a little bit of in there.
It does, but we'll figure it out. So, Dave, what are you not poaching? What are you doing tonight?
You know, nothing, officer.
Up for a stroll?
I'm looking for my cat. No.
Oh, sir.
I have not used that ever before ever.
I don't believe you.
It did come a little too quickly. He's just like, oh, dip, dip, dip.
So
Looking for my
tonight on Spotlighting with Dave, we're talking about odd shotgun gauges. And tonight we're just going to stick to the other three that are on the shelf. We could go on for 2 or 3 shows about shotgun gauges of way back in the day, all the muzzle loading shit. But tonight we're talking about 10 gauge, 16 gauge, and 28 gauge and where they fit in.
Like this little guy here. He's so cute.
You know where 16 gauge does not fit in? A 12 gauge.
No, it absolutely does.
I was going to
Just
say,
doesn't
bullshit. I can
work.
fit this right down the barrel.
Fits about halfway, I think.
It
Made a
Slide
nice
whistle.
noise as it went, like a slide whistle.
Hang on, BRB.
Promise.
He's gonna go get a thing, but
Oh, I hope so.
no, there's there. I would say I haven't seen 10 gauge on the shelf in a long time, but there are places that do have 10 gauge on the shelf that I know of.
I mean, good. I'm gonna look up ammo for sale. You keep talking.
That's a complete through and through.
Ammo for
Not a 12
sale.
gauge from a 28. Just saying. Like, look.
Oh,
You said that's a
easy.
20?
We're gonna get banned for a different
28.
reason.
To 12.
Yeah, we were doing 16 to 12.
Oh. No, you aren't. We were talking about 28.
No, because Mike bought 16 gauge and sent it through his 12 gauge while he was hunting doves
know
at my
that.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
And
got me
Glenn said it
excited for
doesn't
no
fit.
reason.
I hope I'm not.
So, what is erotic but in gun?
Gun Rodica.
Good God.
I don't like it. But
It's a
Anyway.
new porn website, gunrotica.com.
then
Everything's
you'll
gun
find.
related.
I
10
would
gauge is
say
expensive.
10 gauge is very expensive.
10 gauge is stupid.
Ooh. Oh, that. Okay,
I was
turkey
actually-
loads are like
But it's masculine. 10 gauge
8.
makes you feel like a man. Also makes you hurt.
Dude, the 10 gauge turkey loads are $8 a shot.
Oh my god!
That's
Don't miss.
that's worse than 50 BMG prices.
It's
at
like
least
the 50
15 years
BMG
ago.
of scatter guns.
Like you could shoot down a helicopter for less.
You can shoot a 50 BMG in a 12 gauge.
Oh,
You could shoot a 50 BMG in a 12 gauge. Yes.
If there's a 10, the only 10 gauge I actually want out of life is like a side by side coach gun, and that would be exclusively full brass shells.
If I ever come across a single shot 10 gauge, I will shoot it with one hand on film
All right then.
just to see. But
I remember my dad had a 12 gauge H&R single shot that was so bad that he donated it to like the local 4-H for a raffle because it was just terrible. Like really and truly terrible to try and shoot that thing. I think he bought it to try and use for ducks and he used it once and then never touched it again.
fuck it. It's worth the more money.
Like
But-
I'm just gonna get rid of it.
On the shelf, you'll find 16 and 28 gauge too. I would say 16 gauge is more popular than 28 gauge in my area anyway, because we actually have it on the shelf.
I'd say
But-
it's more popular than 12 gauge. At
No,
least at the time.
What?
At the time, yeah.
At that single
because-
sale, yes.
yeah.
Could
Well,
you
it was-
repeat that? I think I had something crazy in my ear.
It was
Shut up.
that was what end of COVID, right? Shit, that was 4
Yeah.
years ago.
Fall 2020.
Yeah, I think it was fall of 2020.
Yeah, so it was in COVID. So yeah, 16 gauge was on the shelf because nobody shot 16 gauge down here. But then there's 28 gauge, and these are all like the in-betweeners of the 12, the 20, the 410. So I kind of wanted to touch on the oddball outliers that tend to stay on the shelf because nobody fucking has them in pandemic times.
What do you
From
want
what
to
I
touch on?
understand, like the 28 gauge really got footing in the sporting clays
Mhm.
world. Like it delivers more payload than a 410 by a good amount, but has significantly less recoil than even a 20 gauge. So it lends itself well to long strings of fire.
Mm-hmm.
Am I pretty close in that?
Yeah,
Eh.
that's what my research is cottoned onto.
You can
I
get
still-
3-inch 28 gauge shells.
The one
as
thing
well
I
as
wish
2 3/4.
I wish 28 gauge they had way more like offerings in slugs and different firearms. Like I want a lever action 28 gauge.
Oh my god, that would be so much more appealing than a 410.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
very
Oh
much so.
man. So like a 410 slug is legal for deer in Oklahoma. But a 28 gauge would be so much better. And you could fit it into something I have to imagine very similar in size to what you would put a 4570 in. So like a Henry Big Boy X in 28 gauge shooting a probably 450 grain slug at 1100 feet per second seems very inside the realm of possibility with a 28 gauge.
What's the OD on a 4570 case?
On the
Do you
case
know of-
itself,
Yeah, do you know off the top of your head?
No, but it's probably 0.470, 0.480, somewhere around there.
Okay,
If I
so
had an inclination, I could tell you, but I don't feel like reaching that far.
4570 is an actual 45 caliber, so it's going to be somewhere over 0.450.
28 gauge is 0.545.
0.545.
So it's a
It's a bit-
skosh bigger.
It's a bit fatter.
Yeah, I bet it's not that much bigger though.
No, it's not.
It's
it's
very close to
doable.
the 500 Smith and Wesson. You're not far out of the realm of possibility there.
I would even go like box mag fed.
Like Henry Supreme.
Or Browning BLR in 28 gauge. Let
What
me
about
switch between birds and deer in the same fucking day with one gun.
What about one of those Rock Island armories? The AR shotgun in 28 gauge instead of
the
like 10 rounds of
VR80?
12 gauge. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Instead of 10 rounds at 12 gauge, you get what? 15, 18 rounds of 28 gauge. That sounds fun.
If it so
You could even double
Colorado's
stack them.
gay again, you're limited to 9 rounds in a box fed shotgun mag. Actually, no. Shotgun magazine's 9 rounds.
Say
8
what?
rounds.
It's 8 rounds.
Yeah. 8 rounds.
Is this
For
a
a shotgun.
Colorado thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
Well,
dumb.
never mind.
Which, I mean,
It's
if you're
3
hunting
rounds.
anyway, it's 3
3. Yeah.
in the gun.
3.
I swear, officer, I failed kindergarten. I can't count.
I'm just out here hunting coyotes. I don't have a tag,
See?
just my small game.
3.
I could see a market for AR style smaller gauge shotguns. That could be a lot of fun, like high capacity.
Except for 28 gauge is not cheap. And that undercuts that whole, because yeah.
Neither are any of the other calibers that they come out with in AR platforms, but that
Yeah,
doesn't
but you
stop 'em
don't
from
buy a
doing it.
Rock Island Armory VR80.
That's the one
Do
thing about
anything but shoot freaking trash with it.
dude.
That's
12
fair.
gauge is cheap. That's
Yeah,
what you can say
that's
for
also
it,
fair.
and it's like it is more. 12 gauge is more,
sure.
and it's cheaper. It is more for less.
You
It's
could do a
the-
lot.
More butter,
gauge.
see? Far more butter.
mean, I hunt doves with a 12 gauge.
It's the save a lot of shotgun gauges. But the thing
But-
is, like, I don't know, like,
It seems
I
like
had a
shotgun
thought.
gauges, like as time goes on, there's like this graph of shit where it's you start super low when you're a kid, like with a 410, just shooting fucking cans and paper and shit, and then you work your way up. Then you get up to 12 gauge, and then you kind of peak, and then you get back down. And the older you get, the lower your gauge gets. It's like, I'm
That's
shooting
it.
12 gauge. I'm
That's where I
going to
was going.
16.
Okay, so the 410 is two things. It is a beginner's cartridge, and it is an expert's cartridge.
Yes.
You shoot it when you're little because it's what you can handle for recoil. And then you shoot it when you're older because you know what you're doing and you can hit well with just the tiny little pattern that it makes because you're limited on the number of pellets that you have to work with.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, when you're a teenager and then, in your early just in your early journey with shotguns, you're going to use you're going to go up to the 20 gauge and then you're going to go up to the 12 gauge. But like the 28 is almost a better beginner gauge for young shooters than 410 because you have a pattern that's much closer to 20 with recoil that's very near 410.
Yes. It's like a 20 handicap.
What did you start your daughter on, Dave?
She shot my 410 a little bit, and then we jumped straight to 12 gauge.
How old was she?
She was 10,
All right.
shooting 12 gauge.
Dusky says 410 from cradle to grave. Like, yes, son, get good.
Yeah, I was I was noticing that in some of the waterfowl groups that I lurk in, and a lot of people talk about being experts with 410s. Like you said, you start small and then you end up small because it's more of a challenge. And on some level, I get that, but I'm still at the water swatting level. So
At 2, it's recoil sensitivity. I mean, fucking 75-year-old guy is not gonna want to sling a fucking 12 gauge like he would a 410. He'll be out there all day with a 410. He'll be out there with an hour or for an hour with a 12 gauge. It's like, yep, I'm gonna go nap. See you guys.
That's fair. That is a neat little.
I am holding a Harrington and Richardson single shot break action 410 made in February of 1900.
Holy shit.
He's old.
Bro.
That is cool.
Chambered in 410. When I was a kid, I had trouble missing with this gun. I mean, it is.
How long's the barrel?
Probably about 26 inches, I think.
Oh, so decent.
Decent, not excessive, incredibly light, but still with 410, it's easily carryable by a young shooter.
Mhm.
Now, this one is old enough that I'm not exactly trusting in the metallurgy anymore. I mean, there is just fatigue with age with these kinds of firearms, but
Like I said, that's almost a CNR.
I
think it qualifies.
Actually, I think it does qualify as a CNR.
No shit.
It has to be like 100 years old or something like that. There's a specific year cutoff.
I've killed a lot of stuff with this, mostly rabbits and errant snakes that dared get too close to the house. But something in like 28 gauge, if you scaled it up just a little bit, it would not be that much heavier and would not recoil very much more.
But the possibilities would be exponential.
Oh, the possibilities.
Would love to see what kind of single shot 28 gauges and what kind of single shot 410s are going for. But anyway, you should definitely put, like, what kind of Gideon optics would go really, really well on that single shot 410?
The Guardian.
Ooh.
I'll shoot a dove with it.
No, I would say
any 5 to 25.
I forgot. I was gonna put the Guardian on this pistol.
Dude,
Dang it!
Can you imagine the valor
You just hold it like this.
on that
You hold it
410?
right up against your face.
The Valor's the small one.
The valor is the very small.
Dude,
Closed
that'd be
emitter.
You know what? On the
Closed
410,
emitter?
Mm-hmm.
I would like the Mediator, I think. That's the enclosed emitter, but slightly larger.
Yeah.
Didn't they announce one that's bigger than the Mediator?
Not yet.
I
yet.
haven't heard.
I think he teased it somewhere.
Yeah,
Somewhere
There may have been a
publicly. I
tease.
didn't give anything away.
but he is quite the
put a
tease.
dot.
So let's be
You can't
fair.
put a dot on every shotgun.
Yes, you can.
Not on every
Just
shotgun.
False. I reject your reality and substitute my own.
Well, I reject your reality and resubstitute my own.
Your opinion.
All night long.
I reject your
reverse
reaction
card my
and-
ass.
Your
reject the
subjective
rejection.
opinion does not overrule objective fact.
Yes,
Sorry.
it does.
Your
Facts
objective
are subjective now.
objection does not subject my
I'm not putting-
rejection
Like I'm not putting
to
the dot.
any
I'm not
kind of
putting any
subjection
dots.
I object.
that you might reject.
I'm not putting any dot on this double barrel 28 gauge that I got.
What
Do it.
is
Oh
that
my
one?
goodness.
No.
Again, I cannot remember.
Do it.
What?
What brand is that?
CZ.
I cannot remember. Oh, it is.
Gunsmith.
That's right.
Harder.
So
I can
anyway, tell me
gunsmith
more about the Valor
rest of
because I think I missed something here.
We're not
and it
talking
sounds-
about dots. We're talking about shotgun shells right now.
shots on
Oop.
dots.
Yeah,
We
it's
will-
just a
we
little
will-
tiny dot. You can figure it out later.
We'll discuss Valor
Shoo-da-da-da-do.
after the show.
Uh,
If you're wondering about the Valor, go to GideonOptics.com.
use coupon
Use-
code moist.
So,
Though on a shotgun, I actually like the granite a lot because it's super wide open and you can see really well and it's just really intuitive.
And that's what's on
I've-
my 590.
Having looked at it, I'd have to say that in order to put that big a dot in there, they had to give it a big window because otherwise the dot would take up the entire window and you'd have a dot window and not be able to see your target. But
Mm.
like everything is proportional on the granite. It's really intuitive. And it looks good on your 22. Sorry, Sam.
28 gauge. That's what I'm going to be starting my kids off on because it's what I've got now. And I'm actually fairly happy about that for the same reason we talked about, in the sense that it's going to have a little more oomph than a 410. Because for the
Yeah.
life of me, I never want to own a 410. There's
I know-
something about 410, and maybe it's because my first exposure to what to 410's existence was the Taurus Judge, that I'm just 410 turns me off the moment it's like, oh, this gun's in 4. Oh, never mind.
This
Don't
little
want it.
shotgun was my first experience with 410, so it's not exactly negative. But I will say that, well, I know Dave's like an hour and a half from a Walmart, but 28 gauge at my local Walmart is cheaper than 410 and more available.
that's very beneficial because 410 is fucking outrageous here.
It's kind of stupid. I'm annoyed, but
Luckily, I have a lot. Of course, I haven't even gone through it all to see what type of shot it is, but when my brother gave this to me, he also gave me a lot of ammo to go with.
Oh,
I'm set for a while.
Jesus. Yeah.
I think most of it is like dove shot. Not literally dove shot, but like really light loads.
8-shot, 7.5.
Yeah, 8-shot, 7.5. That should have just said
There
that.
might not
Actually,
be
this
a
is a
better
6.
dove
This is a 6-shot.
gauge.
Well, I
There
guess
might
I
not be a
don't
better
wanna
dove gauge
kill
than
some
28 gauge.
doves with it.
Just as far as the balance between
water swap some
recoil, the
coop.
shot spread, and payload, it's if you're gonna match all of that to your quarry, that might be the best you could come up with for dove.
Coot on the water.
I mean,
No, that's a 12 gauge business because that's about maximizing spread.
And
I
you do
take a
need to
10
be
gauge
at like
if I had
60
one.
yards.
yeah, that's 12 gauge
Fine.
cylinder bore,
Not the
double
first time
barrel.
we were out there. The first time we were out there, we were cruising up to 30 yards and just like, should we
That's
shoot him
true.
now? I was telling Sean up there, like, yeah, shoot him now. We're close enough.
Yeah, I can't wait till next year. I'm already grumpy. It's over. Saw some ducks flying today, and I was like, oh.
No, I don't think 28's really great for maybe like turkey, unless you're using some bismuth high-end load.
Bismuth.
But
Give her the bismuth.
you know, I think my brother has killed one turkey in his entire life, and he did it when he was 9 or 10 years old with a 16 gauge.
So, Sam, 28 gauges
Oh, no.
are all super expensive.
Mine wasn't. To me.
Well, if you've already got one, then you're already set. But
410s
410s are way cheaper.
Yeah.
No,
Look,
there is that.
If I had to buy my own, I'd probably end up with a 410. I wouldn't have looked at a 28 gauge probably, but this happily fell in my lap. So
There's that American Tactical Import over under. I think on Sportsman's Guide, if you have the Club membership is like $315 for an over under 28 gauge.
That's not bad.
Side by side's cooler. You know how you can make any over under side by side?
Turn
Gangsta
it side
style.
by sideways.
Sorry, somebody had to do it. Anywho,
So
What
we
was
haven't
the
talked
point
about
of all this
16
again?
gauge much.
no, we
What?
didn't. My grandfather always. Well, of course, this is being passed from what my dad used to say because my grandfather never talked about this stuff when I was a kid. The 16 gauge was a woman's gun. Was his opinion on it. A 10 gauge was a goose gun. A 16 gauge was a woman's gun because it was. He did not think very highly of 20 gauge back then. So 16 gauge was a good step up, and then 12 gauge was like, dudes,
Back in my day, we'd duct tape an 8 gauge to your dick and hit it with a hammer.
your dick or the 8 gauge.
Yes. First one, then the other.
Don't ask me questions, boy. Just do it.
In my searching, I didn't find any 16 gauges. Like 16 gauge was not even an option when looking for guns.
So we found one on a used rack. My parents own one, or my dad owns one because as a surrogate for the shotguns that we don't have, because when my grandmother back in 1962 passed away, that's what they used to do. They used to go upland bird hunting together. And so he ended up selling all the shotguns though, which is just like family tragedy. Anyway, so he found a 16 gauge and bought it as like a surrogate for that. My mom's used to skeet shoot with it occasionally. It's a nice little gun.
Nice.
I can tell you, shooting it and back and forth between 16 gauge and cheap 12 gauge, I never really noticed that much difference in recoil. Like I know it exists, but to me, at least to my younger, dumber self, is like, yeah, whatever.
I would go out on a limb and say that a lot of older, hardcore upland birders use 16 gauge over 12.
It's more refined. That's what Garth shoots. It's more refined.
Indeed.
God.
Okay, one thing I
Golf.
do know, I don't know why, but 16 gauge was actually really popular in Africa when used with drillings or drylings,
Yep.
because the concept of the dryling, especially when used on dangerous game. So the idea is a dryling it's German for dry is German for 3, and it's 3 barrels, usually 2 shotgun barrels over a single rifle barrel. And the idea was you would use the shotgun barrels to blind your game as they charged you, and then finish them off at close range with the rifle.
So aim for the eyes. Got it.
Actually, I have some input on this.
You
not
get some
not
experience?
not dryling specifically, but I know people that will use birdshot as their first shot in their carry gun. So they'll pepper the fuck out of their face and then follow up with some spicy ass hornady.
Or you just shoot him in the face in the first place. I don't get this.
No. It's like, because you could hip shoot like none other with birdshot, just wham, and fucking, and then pop.
Or you could
Same concept. But back to the drylings.
This sounds dumb to me.
The whole
I
concept.
don't do it.
The concept of
guess-
birdshot in your 9mm being the first
No.
round out.
It's 9mm rat shot.
Wheel gun.
Oh yeah, 357, 38.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Get some
weird.
rat shot in here.
That's even dumber because you're taking one of your 6 rounds and putting a dumb round in it.
Hey, he only needs one. Well, 2.
5, because you're probably a FUD that carries on an empty chamber because you're afraid you're going to smack your hammer and make your gun go off. So you've
That's only Colt
Going-
actions.
Going
Says
back to
guy
the
with
drylings.
6.
That concept was based on the idea that bolt actions were unreliable. So having multiple follow-up shots with a big bore bolt action caliber was like, no, that's you can't rely on that. You got to pepper him in the face first.
And look, bolt
And I don't know
actions-
why 16 gauge was the preferred gauge, but that's kind of what it turned. I guess just because
That's
it's
historical trends, probably the same way that certain calibers now are more popular than others, and they won't be in 15 years.
right. And in the modern day, I don't know if the 16 gauge, like what it really gets you over 20 versus its deficiencies against 12.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'd sell one of you to the Chinese for a double rifle. I'm just saying. Since we're talking about this kind of thing, like I'd sell you to a Uyghur camp if they gave me a double
do you know what I want? I want a Kodiak 50 or 54 caliber double black powder rifle. Like a side by side black powder rifle in 50 or 54 caliber.
Oh, I'd skip the black powder. I want
Oh
just
no,
straight up.
that's hot. That's hot, dude. Just forget your cartridge nonsense.
Get out of here with that shit, man. This progressive nonsense. Give me back my percussion caps.
I got 2 instead of 1. That's 100% increase. I don't.
I went to a
Next thing you
range.
know, I've got 3 instead of 1. I've got 4 instead of 3. Now I got a puckle gun.
I went to a range in trap range, and I watched some guys shooting black powder shotguns, and it was the most inefficient thing I've ever seen. Like they're out there, in the trap range, and it's one of the ones with the microphone where you walk up and you're like, pull, and it throws one for you, and they walk up there and they say pull. And this fucking volcano of smoke comes out the end of this barrel, just whoof. And they waddle back to their tables. And then the other guy that was reloading when the first guy was shooting walks up there, pull, and volcano of smoke. And it was just a constant cycle between them. It was cool as fuck because it sounded awesome. But
Just
I'm like, I guess they're not golfing. So
You need a
That's
spotter to see if you
money
actually
ahead.
hit the clay. You need somebody offset 10 feet to the left to go.
mhm.
Yep, you got it.
It was a lot of smoke. It was fucking cool.
my dad.
I'll roll coal with guns.
So, do you know what happened with a lot of the 1853 Springfield rifles
From, they got
from
converted into fouling pieces.
from the Civil War? Yeah, they got bored out to shotguns
Cool.
and used for killing birds. My dad actually picked one up for like $150 back in 2004. No, it was
Oh,
2001. And he cut that sucker down and used it for Civil War reenacting as a cavalry shotgun.
See, y'all just reminded me now that I wanted to buy a blunderbuss and use it on Coot.
It's a
forgot about
blunderbuss.
that.
It really is.
Well, not technically.
Blunder busting coot.
It's also
That
like
is
this.
a great show title.
It's like this long now.
When we get there.
pretty short. Like
The only interesting part. So Traditions makes a blunderbuss kit that looks like a freaking cartoon. It looks like a trumpet on a stalk. It looks dumb as fuck. There's I can't remember the companies off the top of my head. There's a couple of them. There's a lot of reproduction pieces that are made in India that are tagged as wall hangers because they don't have a flash hole drilled through them. So you got to buy one of those and drill them through, and everyone says they're perfectly safe. So
I'll drill your flash hole.
Dude, I was gonna, but then I was like, no, that's been enough out of me tonight. And then you fucking come.
Not yet, but
if Dave didn't,
tonight on Blunderbusting Coot, we're gonna see how many. I mean, Fucking CPW's getting all over my ass. We're seeing how many coot we can kill with a handful of gravel. So you throw in your powder charge, drop in your coffee filter for a wad, pour in your gravel, another coffee filter. All right. Well, it turns out we got 2.
If
I
you
mean,
just use rock salt, you can season them while you're at it.
I mean,
Yeah,
technically-
otherwise this tastes
technically
kind of
speaking,
gravelly. Yeah,
technically,
crunchy.
officer, it's lead free.
You got to get
Dude.
that bismuth.
Wait, hold up. Hold up. I think I just hit $1 million idea.
Oh no.
Shoot them with granite using a granite.
No,
No.
shoot them with like
Barbecue seasoning.
with rock salt and barbecues, like the pepper blend. Like I just shot dove with salt and pepper and
Salt and lemon
crystallized
pepper.
garlic. Oh
So we're
yeah,
getting real close then. Got it.
I'm not opposed to it, especially considering the rock salt I put on our sidewalk in the driveway. It's big old chunky. It's like if you walk out
Oh,
there
you
with
should
bare
definitely
feet, it
eat
hurts your feet. So definitely eat this stuff. You put that down the barrel of a shotgun, that'd be a great thing to. God damn, yeah,
I like
that'd
when
be
you're
a great
spreading that
projectile.
stuff and the wind kind of kicks up and suddenly the air is all salty. It's like
Welcome to my life.
tastes
it's like it
freedom.
reminds me of the ocean.
I like when I make the diet lemonade at work and I have to pour the bag of Splenda in there and then I can taste Splenda with my sinuses for the rest of the day. That's always
You
fun.
just feel like a diabetic all day long.
I just imagine Mike just over there, like just in midair.
What are you doing? It tastes splendid.
The
He's
air,
like my 2-year-old when it snows, except for Splenda.
the air
Lick.
tastes good.
Lick. Lick.
Alrighty then.
I'm like a snake, like
We gotta get some outro music.
I was thinking more like the monkey from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Lick.
That's a terrible movie.
Lick. Bullshit. It's a great movie.
The book was
that
better.
is in fact a great movie.
The book was better.
The book
That's-
was. I actually
have
disagree.
actually read
I've-
that book.
I mean, I can see the book being good back in the 50s when it came out, but that book does not hold up today. The movie is way better.
Yeah, the book doesn't have the dad with the
Oh.
eyebrows.
I'm sorry your attention span's this short.
Yes, Bob's got it. Steve. Lick.
Like a Mr.
Can.
Peace Watson over here.
Can.
Bob said, Steve, the very next comment up, my dog's anus.
Quality listeners. Quality.
Excellent, Brett.
Ooh, people disgust me.
And yet you're still here.
Well,
Only because I
Mine.
discuss myself.
it's my lot in life, apparently. Anyway. All right, I think that'll wrap that up. We need some outro music as well for Spotlight. I almost call it shotgunning with Dave. But
I mean,
The outro music can just be him crushing a beer can. And
well, we already talked
we're
about
done
that
with it.
before the show, before you guys logged on, I think.
yeah.
Yeah,
I-
Dave, you got it
I-
empty? Give us a lot. Do it live.
Now that was good.
Now huck it across the room, bounce it off something. We need a good.
Oh, it landed on top of my freezer, and now there's beer dripping down it.
Maybe we could get a
Perfect.
soundbite of you like dropping it into the recycling bin or something, so it gets that satisfying. Because I don't care if you actually recycle it.
Recycling bin.
Oh, right.
Maybe we just need sirens and oh god, drive.
All right. So
Perfect.
I was gonna say get a soundbite of you throwing it out the driver's window, but Vince's was better.
I have
Same
never used
Same
the
head.
thermal imaging camera on a cat phone to see if we were being followed in a pasture.
Ugh.
Brett said recycling is the blue bin that also goes to the trash.
I do recycle. I do. But it's just a big ass 250-gallon tote out by my shed where I throw all my scrap metal, and sometimes I'll rummage back through it if I need something. I recycle.
Yeah.
But it's where
Remind me about scrap metal in a moment because I've got some stuff I need to get rid of. I want to know if it's worth anything. Anyway, I'm dying again.
Daggum TB, gotcha.
Who is outro?
Hopefully it's not me.
It's Mike.
Oh, good.
Well, if that's the case, then you should support the sport and take a buddy hunting. And if you
Don't
like that
forget
buddy,
Camarado.
and
We already did. Moving on. The music's running out fast.
if you like that buddy, tell them about our show. If you don't, send them to Meat Eater. Hit us up at lghpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and let's go hunt.
Speed Mike returns.
Camarado affiliate code. Let's go hunt. Check it out. Camarado.com.
They have
All
cool
right.
stuff. I wore my Camarado shooting.
I liked Vitamin Don't.
Yeah, I do.
All right.
But it's got to be in all caps.
All right. Good night, Brett, Bob, Dusky.